bin.
Where did you dig up that old fossil?
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.
That's no move.
We're all fine here now, thank you. How are you?
Welcome to the Star Wars Nerds Podcast. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
And I'm Kenton Larson.
And you successfully completed your trip to the eye doctor / barber. Not the same person.
No, I had all my appointments in one day. Except now I have to make an appointment to go buy glasses, which is a separate appointment. You can't do anything. Nothing's easy anymore.
We did a weird thing because my daughter got glasses. We got them for her. She broke her glasses when she was at school before the lockdown, and so then we didn't get around to actually replacing them because everything shut down, so we couldn't go. And then when everything opened up and we still had to make an appointment and get her fitted for the glasses. And then when we got there to pick them up, we just stood outside. It was at the Walmart eye place, and we just awkwardly stood outside in the kind of main hall area while they found them and brought them to us. So it was not the normal eyeglass buying experience.
No, and that's what I'm definitely discovering the same thing. I think the guy gave me some eye drops because I have watery eyes, and everybody was like, "Oh, you're just old, man. That's it. It's your old."
That's what happens.
But he's like, "No. There's 2 layers of water. You have one of your layers of water is sweet. You can cry like a baby. But the other, there's another layer of water, and that's not good, and that's what these eye drops are for." So I was like, great. And I was like, how much are these? And he's like, that's a sampler. I was like, great. So I bring them home. I take them out of the thing, and it's like literally a sample.
Like one drop.
Yes, basically it's one drop. So now I get to make another appointment to go back and buy more eye drops.
Why don't you just buy it at a time? Save yourself a trip.
I thought it was bigger. It's in a big box.
Yeah.
It's the classic Christmas present trick. Where you open up the giant box and it's like, oh, it's Smarties. It's a tiny little. You should have just told me you bought me Smarties, and I wouldn't be so disappointed.
We do have lots of great Star Wars news to talk about. The last couple of weeks has been pretty active as far as Star Wars stuff is concerned. Where do you want to start today?
Boy, there's so much. Hey, I'll start with something that I'm suddenly seeing and that I'm going to resolve to do, which is the only figure I've been looking for the past, is it a year? Well, I guess a little less than a year, is the Mandalorian figure. Yeah. And today, my friend on Instagram sent me a message to show me that the Mandalorian is now in stock on the vintage card. And I think he's already seen it on two different places. So it looks like my hunt is over. It looks like now I'll be able to go and...
This is on the Kenner packaging, like the vintage Kenner packaging?
It's a 6-inch figure, but on the large card. That looks like it's a vintage figure.
Yeah.
So it looks like finally the hunt is over for that figure.
Is it Mando before or after his armor upgrade?
Pre-armor upgrade. Okay. Which I like. I like that costume actually, but you know, you got to keep the armor upgrading, so you have to buy more.
Of course, that's right. Yeah, there's so many different versions of it.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's gonna get a new suit of armor in the next season, and we're gonna have to buy another figure. Like they're just, they've figured out the figures basically as far as. Yeah, sorry, and just I should let people know my kids are here in the background, and Luke is gonna pop in. I don't know if you heard that or not, but he's gonna.
No, what did he say?
He said good pun.
Oh.
So he might jump in with some commentary every once in a while. So just so you guys are aware.
No problem. Since we were talking about the Mandalorian, I figured I could throw that in right before we talked about the big Mandalorian news.
Yeah, so the Emmy nominations came out this week.
Yeah.
And Mandalorian got 15 nominations. Holy crap.
Outrageous amount. It's a surprise.
Yeah.
It's definitely a spoiler.
What's a spoiler?
It's a spoiler in terms of other shows that expected the nomination. Yeah. That did not get one.
I mean, we should have known, right? Because it is, Netflix shows get nominated. It is a valid, entry in the mix, but people don't think of it because it's Disney Plus, and it's really the only original series of note on Disney Plus, as far as I know, although there's probably other ones as well. First Emmy nominations. Okay, wait, this article is funny. It says it's the first Emmy nominations since the Battle for Endor.
Yes,
which was nominated for 3 Emmys back in the day. It was Outstanding Children's Programming, Sound Mixing, and VFX.
Yeah.
The Mandalorian got nominations now for best drama, which it puts it up there with like Better Call Saul and all the other big names as far as big series go. So if it wins that, that's definitely an upset. I don't know what it's up against. We'll take a look at that. Maybe we'll talk about Emmy nominations on one of our Media Nerds episodes. But it's still, that's a huge win for them. Just to be nominated is a huge win. Outstanding character voice-over performance. Production design for narrative program, I guess because it's a half hour. Oh, there's a half hour category, which is interesting. Cinematography for a single camera. Fantasy sci-fi costumes. 3 single camera picture editing for drama series, prosthetic makeup, music composition, guest actor for Giancarlo Esposito, sound editing, and also stunt coordination and visual effects. So lots of different, like, you know, obviously the stuff that usually goes with the Star Wars production, right? But it does have the performance by Giancarlo Esposito, which is really interesting. I don't think he would get nominated for that next year. I think he's going to be in the season a lot more next year. He was only in like 2 episodes, right? Yeah. This year. So I think he's going to be the big bad next season. So he's going to be like a regular. He's not going to be a guest star.
And by the way, Werner Herzog, people, can we get that man a nomination?
Well, yeah,
Come
but
on.
I don't know what is like the criteria for nomination for a guest star versus a supporting. Werner Herzog was in quite a few episodes of that. So I don't know if he counts as a guest star. And I don't know.
He's not in it very much. But
yeah, that's true.
But Brad Pitt was nominated for SNL for 3 minutes. Explain to me how Brad Pitt gets an Emmy. They want him to show up at the Emmys. That's why they give him a nomination. For 3 minutes of SNL. I couldn't believe it. I was like, what? SNL continues to confound me with its Emmy success.
Well, I don't get it either because
it makes no sense.
No. Oh, are you talking about for that bit he did as
Fauci?
Oh my God, you serious?
Yes.
That was so stupid.
It's absurd that you would award that with anything. Worst cameo by a major star, maybe.
Award it with a view on YouTube, maybe. That's pretty much it.
Yes.
Doesn't say. It doesn't say if there's a specific number of times they have to. Yeah. I guess as long as they're not like a regular actor in the series, then it counts. So I guess maybe Werner Herzog was a regular actor. I don't know how they figured that out.
Did you see the specifics about the voiceover performance?
No.
Do you know who that is?
Is it Mando? Oh, is it Taika Waititi?
Yes, it is.
Oh,
I was gonna say
as the droid.
I am a robot nomination, but you're doing a robot voice. I'm going to self-destruct. Oh, that's a nomination. Meanwhile, I actually think Nick Nolte did a much more nuanced performance as an Ugnaught.
He did.
But that's like, nah. Sounds like
Taika
Nick
Waititi, he's kind of an awards show darling right now. He's coming off his win for Jojo Rabbit and all that other stuff. So they love him. They love him in Hollywood right now. Nick Nolte's probably burned some bridges, I would assume, with some Academy people. I don't know. I shouldn't assume that. I don't know. Nick Nolte's been around for a long time, but you're right. He should have. And you mentioned this before. It's very interesting that he wasn't in any of the behind the scenes stuff. That was a pretty major character in the series, and plays a big role. And nothing for him. So that's too bad.
He probably phoned it in. He literally picked up the phone. I'm an Ugnaught. There, am I done?
I've spoken. All right, so there you go. So good for the Mandalorian. I will rewatch it. I've talked about it, but there's so much other stuff going on today. By the way, Umbrella Academy is out on Netflix today, so that's going to be my weekend watching. But before the second season of Mandalorian comes out, I will rewatch season 1, and it's just a great show. Very very happy about that.
I'm very happy that that to me was like the best. There's lots of things that I didn't like Bob Odenkirk doesn't get one for Saul, or
that's a shame.
Rhea Seehorn doesn't get one for Saul, and you kind of go, well, and Little Fires Everywhere gets a nomination. And
you didn't like that one.
It is such a piece of garbage. I mean, come on, in what world is that a good show? I do not accept that anybody thinks that's a good show who watches it. I am just stunned.
Chris Schiffman even weighed in on Twitter at some point and said, "Yeah, it's not very good."
No, it's terrible. It's bad TV making. There's no doubt about it. Hey, there's some talented people in there. That's fine. I'm not saying anything about anybody's talent. I just don't think it came together. I just think in the end you finish watching it and you're like, well, that's weird. That's weird how they wrote that. Like it's more like that. It's more like, whoa, what were they smoking in the writer's room today? As opposed to that's a beautiful ending to a wonderful story. Whereas with The Mandalorian, I did say that's a beautiful ending to a wonderful story. So I think, and of course, Little Fires Everywhere isn't the same category. It's a different category.
Well, and even like you can't say The Mandalorian took away nominations from Better Call Saul in those because it wasn't nominated in the acting category. So it's weird that Bob Odenkirk didn't get nominated or Reese Seahorn because both of them do great performances. Yeah. Better Call Saul did get for Best Picture, and I'm sure there's other stuff as well.
Best comedy, I think it's. Is it? Oh no, best drama. Sorry,
best drama. It's a drama. Remember when that was supposed to be a comedy? That's such a weird. It was gonna be like a half-hour comedy when they first started thinking about that show.
Yeah, so. I still almost think of it as a comedy in some ways, but I mean, every comedy has a tragedy plus time equals comedy. They always say, and you can have a comedy with a tragic element, and that's always where the Emmys just drop the ball. They can't figure it out. They don't. They don't know. If one person trips and falls during the show, you get thrown into the comedy category. Like they don't really seem to have. How many laughs do you need per half hour for it to be a comedy? Exactly. But yeah, very good to see The Mandalorian awarded now. And I love the music for The Mandalorian, so I was happy to see that as well.
Yeah, it's a very good theme song, and it's just a great, like I said, it's a great all around show. So in other news, Disney announced recently that it's pushing back. Now I didn't even realize they had announced these dates for these Star Wars movies, but the next trilogy apparently will be coming out every other year starting in 2023. So I guess it was going to be 2021 or 22, but they pushed it back because of the COVID-19 pandemic. So there's going to be December, and they're sticking with the December release dates, which I think is great because we love Star Wars at Christmas time. It's a great tradition now. So December 22nd, 2023, and then the second one will be on December 19th, 2025, and then December 17th, 2027. So the next 3 Star Wars movies. Now, we still don't know what this is. Is this the Rian Johnson trilogy? Is this the Kevin Feige stuff that he's working on? Is this like Taika Waititi's movie? Like there's so many questions we don't know. We don't know what kind of trilogy this is going to be or what it's going to be about.
No, we don't know, and I'm fine with that. I'm happy with the Disney Plus stuff for the time being. In fact, that's to me has been the best of the stuff that we've got. So it doesn't, to me, it's neither here nor there. I'm either way. If the movies that they have scheduled turn into Disney Plus movies or shows, that'd be fine by me too. I just think Lucasfilm now has the track record where they can do movie style shows that do not suffer for being TV shows, and I think Lucasfilm has blurred the line, or Disney, however you want to refer to it, but they have blurred the line better than anybody in terms of what is a movie and what's a TV show.
That's right, and that even applies to like one of the other things we were going to talk about, which is the upcoming Lando TV series. Now, this is going to be based on Donald Glover's character, Lando Calrissian, right? So it is either a sequel or prequel to Solo. I don't know. Do we know anything about when this is going to take place in the timeline? Or
there's some confusion. Like I've been reading articles about this online for the past few weeks, and everybody has a scoop. Everybody thinks they know the story. It's very unclear. We could be talking about the same show. We could talk about a show that has Lando and Ahsoka in it. That could happen. It could like Darth Maul could easily show up.
See, that's funny. When that Ahsoka rumor started, people assumed it was going to be The Mandalorian because that was the only show that was out. But it could be for any of these other shows, right? Ahsoka could be a part of any of this. Especially, it would actually make more sense for her to show up in the Obi-Wan show more than anything else.
It could very easily happen. So I don't. It's unclear if it's separate shows or if it's the same show. But hey, I'm all for it. We
know that Lando's getting his own show, right? We know that's happening.
Well, I'm starting to wonder about it because now there's more breaking news. If you can believe it, there's more kind of stuff saying Alden Ehrenreich has been contacted. He was interviewed too, and he sort of almost seemed to be saying, I've heard something. I think he said, I've heard something, but nothing's official or anything. So would he show up in a Lando show? Would they make the sequel to Solo as a Disney Plus limited series with Darth Maul.
So here's the thing, Alden Ehrenreich now, I wouldn't be surprised if he's a bit soured on the whole thing, considering
He
the
does not
reception
seem
that
to
Solo
be.
got. Oh no, he's okay with
No,
it?
he does not seem to be. He seems to be fine entertaining the idea that this is something he might do again.
He was an actor. He wants to get a job, right? There's nothing better than a regular series. As far as, well, I guess he wouldn't be a regular in the series, but he could show up every once in a while.
I think the other thing that's been happening lately, like you and I, the day after we saw Solo, were like, this was awesome. Like we just really, you and I have been fans of Solo since day one. But lots of other folks, it's taken them a while to kind of get on board, but it's happened.
Yes.
And so you're seeing more people going, wow, that's actually a pretty good movie. That's kind of fun. And, oh, man, I'd like to see what happens with Crimson Dawn. And,
Now they did talk to Ron Howard, and he said there's not going to be a film sequel to Solo.
No, and that's fine.
That's fine.
Yeah.
So they could continue it as part of the Lando series. They could keep. They could, on the strength of that, if that's successful, they could give Alden Ehrenreich his own series based on. I think they just want to. I think Disney is always a little bit gun shy at this point because that was such a quote unquote failure that they don't want to just go full force into that. But everyone likes the idea of a Lando series. In fact, there are people here who are trying to find a way to work Billy D. Williams into it, meaning like it would be like a flashback. Like I remember Billy D's sitting around talking about I remember the Battle of Tenev, and then he starts going into the.
And here, by the way,
flashback.
I'm by law. Here's where I have to mention the all-time worst version of that was Johnny Depp as Tonto in The Lone Ranger, sitting at the museum.
Yeah, but we're not going to have him appropriate a culture pretending to be something he's not.
We're going to have Lando sitting at a museum, and some kids will come in, and he'll go, see that model of the Millennium Falcon? Well, that used to be my ship. Let me tell you a little story that went something like this.
There's a lot to explore there. There's a lot of, we could find out how he got the Falcon, how he created it. There's a lot of great adventure, I think, that could be. There was, I remember there was a series of books about Lando.
Oh, yeah.
At some point.
Those Brian Daly.
Is that what it was?
I think that's his name. Those Brian Daly.
Yeah, those were good.
I read those.
I remember really, those are great, And so there's a lot of content you can create around that character. People really love that character. They love both versions of that character, right? Like, people may be not on board with Alden Ehrenreich playing Han Solo, but people do like Donald Glover as Han Solo. That was one of the best things about that movie, and I don't even mind. Sorry, it's Lando.
Yeah.
I don't even mind Alden Ehrenreich as Han Solo anymore because we know we're not going to get any more Harrison Ford. So if we're going to get Han, this is the only way we're going to get Han Solo. Then I'm fine with it. So yeah.
Somehow with it on TV, it doesn't seem as much of a risk, and it doesn't seem.
But it's the same thing. You just said they're blurring the lines. It's the same thing.
Well, yes and no.
It's going to have great special effects.
Yeah.
You could watch an episode of The Mandalorian in a movie theater and feel like you're watching a Star Wars movie, right? You totally could. So there is no difference.
If they ran The Mandalorian in a movie theater for a one-time only promo, I'd go.
Yeah, you could watch the entire series. They could break it up. You could watch 3 or 4 episodes at once, take a break, and do intermissions. Then they could do a marathon of it. That would be awesome.
And I also think that would get them more Disney Plus subscriptions.
You're very
right.
I think
before
you're
the
right.
second season starts.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Think,
let's pitch that to someone at Lucasfilm.
Yeah,
Pablo.
Let's pitch it to Grant Park Cinema. Let's start there.
There we go.
Let them do the work.
I mean, we see that kind of stuff happening around. They always do that around the Marvel movies. Like whenever they released an Avengers movie, they would do all the Avengers movie, and that's 27 something hours or more. Now it is anyway, but they would do huge marathons of Marvel movies. This isn't even that. This is maybe 10, not even 10 hours, right? It's how long is it? It's not that long. It's 10 episodes of about half an hour each, so maybe 5 or 6 hours really.
Yeah.
Some of them are longer than half an hour. That would be a great idea. I'd totally be up for that.
Yeah, I think that would be I just think that it would bring in people. I still know people who wouldn't shell out the money to get yet another streaming service who already know about Baby Yoda.
Everybody does, right? Yeah.
They already know about all that stuff, and they're interested in it, and they like it in theory, but they just will not fork over that money.
Well, and it's a tough sell to people who are not into any other Disney stuff. Like I was telling, I
It
just
is.
hooked up.
Yeah.
My mom got a Roku box, and so I went over and helped her hook it up, and I hooked her up with Disney Plus. I gave her access to my Disney Plus account. We share that kind of stuff. I use her Netflix. She uses my Disney Plus, and because she wanted to watch Hamilton, that was her big in for Disney Plus, right? And that was a selling point for a lot of people. That did work as far as getting a lot of people set up to sign up. Because if you sign up for Disney Plus, even if you have a free, I think it's a 7-day free trial. Oh, no, they got rid of the free trial, didn't they? I don't think they do the free trial anymore. But anyway, you still, you pay $7.99 and you can see Hamilton, which is a great, by the way, have we talked about that yet? How awesome Hamilton is?
Oh, it's good. Yeah. I watched it on the first day. Yeah.
I did. I watched
It's
it a
long.
couple of days. It is. It's like 3.5 hours, but I was like, here's my hot take 3 years too late. It's a great musical, and I would love to see it in person.
I also have a few criticisms that people won't like.
Oh, well, we'll talk about that another time.
Yeah.
We'll talk about that on media. But anyway, that was
Basically,
one selling point.
People won't like it because, and let me just give you one. I actually think the creator of the show is the least talented actor in the show.
Oh, probably. Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, I haven't tested that on anyone, so I have a feeling that
some of the other characters are really great. Like I was expecting, Lin-Manuel gets all the attention for that because he wrote it.
Yeah, so good for him, right?
Yeah, I mean it's an amazing, and the songs are amazing, and everything about it is amazing. And yeah, he's not the strongest performer, but maybe that's why he left, right? Like he did it, and then he's moved on. So somebody else plays Hamilton now in the Broadway musical. Although I don't know if that's even running right now. But
some of those performers are so freaking strong. That if you're
really
just
good.
slightly off your game, forget it. You're going to look like a schlub up there.
Yeah, I can't imagine having to do that every night for however long that was running.
And making it fresh.
Yeah, it's a great. So anyway, that was one thing. So that would be a good kind of marketing tool for Disney to partner with. And we'll see. I mean, it all depends, of course, on what the state of theaters are in September or October or whenever the hell we get that second season of The Mandalorian, because right now theaters are open, but they're just showing old movies. So I can go see Jaws in the movie theater if I want to. I can go see, it's funny because I saw a news story. I guess somewhere they re-released Empire Strikes Back in the theaters. Not here. It's not playing anywhere here, but there are other places around in the States. And among the top box office, because we still get reports of box office take or whatever, there was one that said that The Empire Strikes Back was number one at the box office this past weekend, and then the other one was, I think, American Pie was the other one. I don't remember, but they're like, all they're doing now is showing old movies because it's all they can show, because there have been no new releases, except for they're showing actually The Invisible Man and Trolls World Tour, those ones that kind of got released direct to digital. For $20 or whatever it was. They are showing those in the theaters now, but there's been nothing new. So yeah, anyway, that's kind of that'd be a fun little thing to do. And I think it would even be worth maybe, I don't know what it would cost to get the rights to that and to rent a theater and to do that, but I think I might look into that for FanQuest or something. That might be fun.
Oh, that's a great idea.
Do a little private screening of the Mandalorian season. That'd be awesome.
Oh my God. Yeah. Sign me up.
All right.
Sign me up for the COVID. That's the problem with any suggestion anybody has now, which is, are we going to catch COVID?
That's the worry, right?
Yeah.
So speaking of that, now let's run down. There's some other things here that let's take a look at what is all coming out. I have an article here from ET, Entertainment Tonight, that shows everything that's kind of been either rumored or announced that's coming up for Star Wars, including all the Disney Plus series. So we got, it says October. So Mandalorian Season 2 is October 2020. That's confirmed.
Great.
The Bad Batch, as we discussed last episode, your favorite squad, that's 2021 for that series.
I want the Spice Girls now. Bring them back. Give them a series.
Now, what's interesting here is that and they've announced this. It's been announced for a long time, but the Cassian Andor Rogue One prequel series, still no date on that. Still no release date, and I don't know if they're shooting or what the status of that is. But I mean, that's something we also kind of like to see. It's got Alan Tudyk reprising his role as K2SO, and it's set before Rogue One. So again, in that same kind of time frame as that's another series that Han Solo could show up in, or Lando. It's the same time frame, right? They're all kind of running around at the same time in the before New Hope. So yeah, still, it says it was originally set to go into production in 2019. I guess he said it was shoot this year, but again, it's delayed because of all the COVID-19 stuff. So they might be getting that going again.
Yes, please. And by all means, surprise us with an early release on it.
Well, but they don't. I don't know when it says it's shooting this year, like 2020, but probably delayed because of the pandemic.
Yeah, that wouldn't surprise me. Same with Obi-Wan.
That's right, and that's the next one on this list. Again, to be announced still for the dates. Last we heard it was in rewrites, which is fine. It's part of the whole process. A lot of people read too much into that, and then as we discussed last episode, there are rumors that Hayden Christensen may return at some point for parts of that, regardless of what that would be. Now, this one does say it does follow the adventures of Obi-Wan between Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, so it will take place in that 20-year span between those, or 18 years rather, between those two movies.
Yeah.
Lots of time. So this is while he's on Tatooine. So lots of great and you think about the way they kind of pioneered the way they shot The Mandalorian. That same thing can apply to this as well, because of the way they use that digital background with that big huge screen and the sets like that. They can use that for all of these series. It's really cool. It's gonna look really good.
Yeah.
It says The Mandalorian's Deborah Chow is on board to direct, which is great. She was very good as well.
Yeah.
Then the next one here is the untitled Taika Waititi movie.
IG-11, the movie.
No, it says here, when it was first reported that Waititi had been tapped to direct his own Star Wars movie, he reacted with his Jedi mind trick. Listen, what does approached even mean? I've seen Star Wars. That's about as far as it got. So, come on. So he's officially helming it. He will. He did direct the season 1 finale of The Mandalorian. That
is a great episode.
Yeah, it really was.
So much good stuff in there.
Leslie Headland series. The Russian Doll showrunner is in development on a new series. I never heard of that one, actually.
Yeah, I heard about that, but nobody has a clue. That could be the Ahsoka show. Could be.
Okay, yeah. I thought Ahsoka was going to be a guest, like showing up on The Mandalorian or something.
Well, part of the problem is we don't really know.
Okay.
Like we know a couple. We know for sure Obi-Wan. We know for sure Cassian Andor. The other stuff is just all like leaked. We think this, we think that, and it doesn't necessarily mean one way or another that that's actually going to play out the way the spoiler appears to. Okay.
The next one on the list here is the untitled Rian Johnson trilogy, which we assume is going to be about Broom Boy.
Oh, no.
Now, what I find interesting here is, okay, so Rian Johnson does The Last Jedi. It divides Star Wars fans. It causes a rift in the Star Wars universe, and half the fans hate it and hate him for what he did to it. Despite the fact that they felt they had to retcon everything he did in The Last Jedi, they're still letting him create his own trilogy. Maybe that's what they should have done in the first place. Maybe they should have just given the whole thing to Rian Johnson in the beginning. I don't know. Or they should have given the whole thing to J.J. Abrams. Either or, I think they would have had a more connected trilogy. We've talked about how that, especially the second and third one, feel like completely different things. So maybe that's the lesson they should have learned here, is don't give each movie to a different director. Although, I mean, like they did that. I think they were trying to base it on what happened for the original trilogy, but the problem is George Lucas was involved in all of them back then, right? So he really is the director, even though he didn't call the shots or anything like that. He was really the guy who was the creative vision behind everything that happened in Star Wars. So it doesn't matter who's directing the thing. What matters is who's kind of making the creative decisions. And somehow, I don't know, again, I still don't know how they let Rian Johnson get away with what he got away with and didn't expect it for the final movie. It just seems so weird.
I don't think there's any confirmation, by the way, that he's actually doing the Broom Boy movie. That's what it's based on. But
I'm assuming,
we should say that. Yeah, we should say that. Yeah, but what else would it be? It seems like that was laid there for that purpose.
Exactly. Yeah, that was the whole thing about that. And it could be, and that's not bad. I don't mind that idea. Again, it would be just exploring other parts of the Star Wars universe that don't have anything to do with the main characters. It would take place in that world that after. We're going to assume it takes place in the world after the defeat of the Emperor, after the events of the Rise of Skywalker. So yeah, I'm okay with that.
Yeah. What else is on the list?
We've got untitled Kevin Feige movie.
Oh right, I forgot about that.
Don't know anything about that.
No, me neither.
He's going to produce something. It might be, now this is me just speculating, but it might be that they want him to come in and talk about how he did the Marvel Cinematic Universe. He is the guy who really made that all happen and made that such a cohesive thing. So again, they may be thinking about doing this for Star Wars, and they want to kind of consult him on how to do it well and what should happen. So I wouldn't be surprised if he had like a more of a producer role on everything. Maybe it's not a movie. Maybe it's like he's going to be a producer on the Taika Waititi movie and the Rian Johnson movies, and kind of bringing it all together. You know what I mean? That would seem like a more logical thing to do rather than just to give him one movie.
Yeah.
He's better. He's got a great like overview of the whole thing. So he's better as a long-term guy, not a short-term one movie guy. Right. So, what else? The untitled J.D. Dillard movie.
Huh? What's this?
It's unclear whether this is a theatrical release or something for Disney Plus.
All right.
So don't even know. This guy, never heard of this guy. It said he helmed Slight and Sweetheart. I don't know what those are. And an episode of The Outsider on HBO. But I know what that is, but I don't know which episode he did. So I don't know anything about that.
It's a good series.
I'm sure it is.
Yeah.
It looks really good. And then, of course, The Mandalorian Season 3 is the last thing on here, which I'm sure they'll do. Especially after getting all these nominations and everything, right? They've got like free reign to do whatever they want for The Mandalorian, so it wouldn't surprise me.
That is basically the main reason why people have Disney Plus is for The Mandalorian. And not just Star Wars fans. It was like a breakout hit. And so you don't take the show that people tune in to watch and then don't renew it. My guess is, if anything, Disney would want to carry it on as long as humanly possible, because that's the show that they made their name on for the streaming service.
But they also want to make sure, like, you can't run it too long. Disney's been pretty good, and certainly Lucasfilm has been pretty good for not running shows too long. I mean, the Rebels only went 4 seasons. I guess Clone Wars went 7, which is pretty long. But for the most part, you don't want a show to run forever and ever. You want to have like a finite kind of timeline. But all they need is for another show to hit. So one of these other shows, they need that to hit big as well, and then they'll be in a better position. I don't know what they're doing as far as developing non-Star Wars content. I'm sure they are working on lots of stuff, but nothing's really come across my desk that I've really noticed as far as like that would stand out as being a great hit as far as Disney stuff is concerned. But they just need a couple more of these shows to be good, and then they're going to try and do like the AMC thing. AMC built itself on Mad Men and Breaking Bad.
Right.
Those are the 2 big series on AMC. Once they had a couple other series in the works, then they could let those go. The Walking Dead then came in and carried it for a while, and now they kind of have I think The Walking Dead is the success, even though a lot of us don't watch it anymore. It's still like a pretty successful show as far as ratings go.
It's great in the demo. It's a total demo play.
And that's a show that allows them to do stuff like Preacher or any of these other kind of. There's one called Nosferatu that looks really good that I haven't watched yet.
I watched it. It's okay. Yeah. It's hit and miss, But like, there's some great stuff, and then there's some stuff that's not so great. But it's fine. It's fine.
It's got Spock in it. It's got the guy who plays Spock in the movies. Okay.
Creepy Spock. He's creepy.
Well, he played. Remember, before he was Spock, he was Siler. He was the bad guy in Heroes. Yeah. Remember that show? So he was very good as the bad guy in that show. So I think that guy could do a bad guy for sure if he's the bad guy. What else? Anything else we want to talk about this week?
Did we miss anything?
I don't know. I don't remember what else we had.
No, that's probably it.
Before we go, I think we should make some kind of a commitment to watch something Star Wars related the next week or so. Let's give ourselves some Star Wars homework.
Sure.
So we can discuss. What do you want to watch? We'll pick something to watch over the next 2 weeks, and then we'll talk about it in the next episode.
Like, what have you got in mind?
I don't know, like a rewatch of Solo or of Rogue One or anything at all.
I've never watched a single episode of Star Wars Resistance.
Oh, neither have I.
Dare I bring that up?
I watched the first episode and I dropped it after that. Let's do Solo. How about we do Solo? Can you rewatch Solo?
Of course I can.
Since that's a lot of the, like, it's kind of centered around a lot of this, so we can talk about. And in the meantime, we can also try to figure out who Mark Hamill does the voice of. That? Remember, we wanted to figure that out?
Yeah, they never did say, did they?
They never did say.
All
so
right.
Let's see if we can do that. Before the next episode, we will both watch Solo and make some notes, and then we'll come back and talk about Solo after more of a deep dive. Like, we only ever really talked about it on this podcast once when it first came out, right? So we'll do that.
Oh, did we do a commentary?
Yes, we did on Solo. I believe we did.
So I guess twice.
Did we?
So twice we talked about Solo.
Okay, yeah. So we'll do it
right after the movie
and then
commentary.
All right, we'll do that. Let's do that. Let's be on there. That's our Star Wars homework. And of course, anybody listening, if you want to do it as well, go ahead and watch Solo in the next 2 weeks. And before the next episode comes up, we'll discuss it.
Yeah, there might actually even be some news in the next couple weeks about what it is, in fact, we're talking about. It turns out, what is the show that we're talking about that they have yet to announce?
That's going to do it for this episode of the Star Wars Nerds. I'm Dan Vadabonker.
I'm Kenton Larson. Don't let the Force hit you in the ass.
TK421, you come.
Going into Toshi Station to pick up some power converters.